A black card had been left on the bed. She saw the name and froze. Clara looked at the card, then at the black man. This isn't usually someone like him, she thought. Not a word was spoken, but the silence and cold stares said it all. To them, a well-dressed black man still didn't belong. Clara eyed the black card in her hand, scoffed, and said, "Cards like this aren't for broke black men trying to play rich." He didn't flinch, just stared back like a black man used to being judged by his skin. He made the call with a calm voice. The impact was brutal. $4 billion collapsed in just 12 seconds. Wall Street tumbles, and the financial world plunges into chaos. Clara stared at her phone, face draining. $4 billion deal canceled. The man she had mocked had just shaken the market. Before we continue, where are you watching from? And don't forget to subscribe, because tomorrow's episode gets even more intense. Chapter 1. The card they mocked. The marble floors of the Avalon Grand gleamed beneath the soft hum of chandeliers. It was the kind of hotel where power wore silence, and money didn't need to announce itself. The staff moved with trained grace, tending to guests with scripted smiles and perfectly measured tones. That night, the wind outside Chicago howled against the glass, but inside it was warmth and wealth. Langston Rowe stepped through the revolving door. Tall, impeccably dressed in a custom navy suit. His camel overcoat rested easily over his arm. His shoes, black leather, hand-polished, tapped softly as he walked. His silver beard was perfectly groomed. He looked like someone important. But in that lobby, with that skin, importance was always questioned. Behind the desk stood Samantha Keller, blonde, poised, and confidently bored. Next to her, the new intern Chloe, barely 23, and still trying to memorize every protocol. Langston stopped at the front desk. Calm, polite. "Good evening," he said. "Reservation under Langston Rowe." Chloe smiled. Samantha didn't. "ID and a credit card, please." He handed her his license and placed a small, solid black card on the marble counter. The moment the card touched the surface, Samantha's expression shifted. She picked it up, turned it over, tapped it once against her nail. Then she laughed. A small, dry sound that echoed too loudly in the quiet lobby. "A black card," she said, looking at Chloe with a smirk. "Really?" Chloe looked down. Her fingers froze on the keyboard. Samantha leaned forward, holding the card between two fingers like it was a fake bill. "Is this even real?" she asked. "You know you need a valid card for this hotel. We don't take prepaid cards." Langston didn't flinch. "You're welcome to run it." The words were simple, but the weight behind them was heavy. It wasn't the first time. It wouldn't be the last. "Let me call the manager," she said, her voice dripping with doubt. "Just in case." Chloe opened her mouth but didn't speak. Philip Danvers arrived, hair perfect, suit tailored. His concern was performative. "Is there an issue here?" he asked. Samantha, not Langston. "This gentleman is trying to check in with this card," she said, holding it up again like evidence in a trial. Philip gave Langston a look, half smile, half dismissal. "Sir, perhaps there's been a misunderstanding," he said smoothly. "The Avalon is a premium establishment. Maybe you'd be more comfortable at—" "That's enough," Langston said, gently taking back the card. "I'll make a call." He turned, walked 10 paces away, and dialed. His voice remained low. "Pull the Vance Lanford deal. Immediately. No discussion." 12 seconds. That's all it took. Across the city, monitors turned red. Phones rang. Screens blinked. $4 billion evaporated. Langston ended the call. Behind him, Samantha's phone buzzed. Then Chloe's. Then Philip's. Chloe picked up her phone first. The headline read, "Breaking. Billionaire Langston Rowe cancels $4 billion deal. Market spiral." She looked up slowly. Her face was pale. The man they had just mocked was the reason Wall Street was panicking. Langston didn't smile. He didn't need to. As he approached the doors, the doorman stumbled forward. "Your car, sir?" Langston handed him a folded $100 bill. "No need," he said softly. "I think I'll walk." And just like that, he stepped into the snow-covered night, leaving behind a silence louder than any outburst. Chapter 2. The shockwave. 10 minutes after Langston Rowe walked out of the Avalon Grand, the financial district trembled. Screens flickered. Stock tickers bled red. At Warren and Blake Investments, one of the largest firms on Wall Street, phones rang off the hook. In a sleek boardroom 30 stories above Chicago, Gareth Blake stood frozen, jaw clenched. His carefully combed hair, designer suit, and reputation for ruthless precision did nothing to soften the blow of the notification glowing on the central display screen. Rowe withdraws. Vance Lanford deal terminated. $3.4 billion pulled. Who authorized this? He barked. Rowe did, muttered Vernon Mills, his CFO. Directly. No warning, no negotiation. He was just in talks this morning, Gareth snapped. This was locked. It was, until someone pissed him off. Gareth paced, rage boiling. Who the hell still treats Langston Rowe like he's just some lucky old man with money? There was silence. Everyone knew the answer. It wasn't just the deal. It was the symbolism. Gareth had spent years building Warren and Blake into a fortress, but Rowe had just punched a hole through the wall from the outside, and he didn't even raise his voice to do it. Across the city, at a modest apartment, Chloe Richardson sat in bed, staring at her phone screen. She kept rereading the same article. Langston Rowe, dubbed the Shadow Billionaire, cancels major investment deal after apparent incident at the Avalon Grand Hotel. Her hand trembled. She'd been there, seen it, heard Samantha's voice when she questioned the card. Watched Mr. Rowe's calm expression, the same expression that now stared out from every business headline in America. They hadn't just embarrassed a guest. They had humiliated a king in his own house. Chloe opened her notes app. She began to type. I was there when it happened. When Power walked in wearing a navy suit and we all failed to recognize it. She didn't know what it was yet. A journal entry, maybe a blog post. But something inside her told her this was bigger than an awkward customer interaction. This was a reckoning. In the Avalon Grand's back office, Philip Danvers stared blankly at his computer. Samantha paced behind him, pale and stiff. They're saying he's worth over $6 billion, she said, trying to keep her voice steady. Philip didn't respond. Samantha scoffed nervously. You think he'll come back? File a complaint? Philip finally turned to her. He won't come back. Why? Because he doesn't need to, Philip said bitterly. We already lost. He stood, removed his blazer, and walked toward the window. From up here, the city looked small, safe, predictable, but tonight it wasn't. Somewhere out there, Langston Rowe had rewritten the rules without saying a word. He didn't demand attention. He didn't argue. He simply reminded them who he was. And now the world was watching. Chapter 3. The Intern and the Empire. Chloe Richardson had never typed faster in her life. Her hands shook as she poured memory into words. Every look, every sentence, every pause. The black card. The way Samantha held it like trash. The moment Langston Rowe walked out without raising his voice, and still brought the entire market to its knees. By dawn, her anonymous blog post was live. The man they mocked at check-in, now he's the reason the markets are crashing. She didn't expect it to travel far, but by noon, it had 18,000 shares. By 4 p.m., a journalist from The Guardian messaged her. By 6 p.m., someone from Bloomberg had emailed. We believe your account lines up with a developing financial story. Would you be willing to talk, on or off record? Chloe's stomach turned. This was bigger than her. Bigger than hospitality. This was systemic. On the 65th floor of Warren and Blake's Manhattan headquarters, Gareth Blake fumed in a boardroom lit by panic. His executive team sat silent as he stared at the latest headlines. Anonymous insider confirms hotel incident sparked billionaire's exit. Langston Rowe, the billionaire you should have seen coming. The real power behind black wealth. Gareth crushed a paper cup in his hand. I want everything on this intern, he growled. Who leaked it? Where she is? Who she's working with? Sir, one exec began. If we go after her publicly, it'll blow back. We are bleeding value, Gareth shouted, slamming a fist on the table. $1.2 billion lost since yesterday. Clients are pulling out. He leaned in, voice low and venomous. Find me something. Anything. Rowe wants to play this game in the shadows? Fine, let's shine some light. Langston Rowe watched it all unfold from the leather chair in his penthouse study. His tablet glowed with alerts, articles, trending tags, anonymous blog reposts. He scrolled past them all, unfazed. He didn't need to comment. The world was connecting the dots without him. His phone buzzed. Gloria's voice came through. They're rattled, she said. I know. They're digging. Into the girl. Into your history. Into anything they can use. Langston didn't respond for a moment. Then, good. Let them dig. They won't like what they find. In a quiet cafe, Chloe took a nervous sip of tea. Across from her sat a woman in a charcoal pantsuit, hair pulled back in a tight bun. Her name was Leah Warren, daughter of Gareth Blake's oldest business partner, and one of the few insiders willing to talk. I read your post, Leah said. It was sharp, honest, brave. Chloe blinked. Are you here to sue me? Leah almost smiled. I'm here because we need to talk about what happens next. Chloe leaned in. Next? There's a pattern, Leah whispered, sliding a folder across the table. Warren and Blake doesn't just make bad deals. They target, acquire, strip, and bury. Inside the folder were 15 company names. All minority-owned, all acquired, all dismantled. Chloe felt a chill climb her spine. So what now? Leah looked her straight in the eye. Now we make sure the world sees it. Chapter 4. The Weight of Silence. Langston Rowe sat alone in his penthouse library, surrounded by polished mahogany, tall windows, and decades of silence. He had built everything in this room himself. Not the furniture, but the right to sit in it. Every painting, every artifact, every rare book had been earned through strategy, sacrifice, and restraint. He didn't inherit a seat at the table. He built his own table, and now they were finally looking at it. On his desk sat an old, worn leather journal, its cover cracked. The pages inside filled with inked reflections, blueprints of deals, names of allies, and enemies. He opened it slowly, eyes scanning an entry dated nearly 30 years earlier. They smiled at me today. But not with respect, with calculation. They still think I don't know, I know, and I'm still watching. His legacy was never about vengeance. It was about preparing the next generation for the storm. Gloria Jackson burst into his study without knocking, an old habit neither of them had tried to break. You've seen this, I assume? She asked, holding up her phone. Warren and Blake just made an offer to David. Langston's eyebrows lifted. David, he repeated. My son, you know, your godson, who refuses to take a cent from either of us. Langston leaned back. Of course they did. He's building something. Fintech for underserved banks, right? Exactly. And now W&B wants in. And after what happened with you, I don't think it's just business. Langston said nothing for a long moment. Then, he doesn't know? No, Gloria admitted. Not yet. I wanted to protect him. Like you tried to protect me all those years ago. He stood, walked to the window, looking out over Lake Michigan. You know how protection works, he said quietly. You hold the umbrella as long as you can. But eventually, they have to walk in the rain. Across the city, David Jackson was already sensing the drizzle. His inbox was full of eager emails from venture teams and smiling promises. And at the top sat one name, Tanner Wilson, Warren and Blake's youngest vice president. Just checking in, the email read. We see extraordinary potential in tech oil innovations. Let's talk. David stared at the screen. Something felt off. His phone rang. David? Gloria's voice was firm. We need to talk. It's about your funding. And Langston. Later that night, Langston sat again with his journal. He opened to a fresh page and wrote, The quiet path ends tonight. They pulled my name into the light. I'll stay there now, not for glory, for defense, and for the boy. The next morning he made the call. Ava Johnson answered on the second ring. Rowe, she said. Is it time? Yes, he said simply. Activate the network. Chapter 5. The Table He Built. The conference hall was full, but silent. Tech founders, investors, and media from across the country sat shoulder to shoulder waiting. The event was supposed to be another panel on inclusive investment. But now, after the headlines, the blogs, the $4 billion walkout, they all knew something bigger was coming. At the front of the stage, the name Langston Rowe lit up. He didn't enter with applause. He walked in the way he always had, quiet, composed, deliberate. He stepped to the microphone. "I've spent 40 years being underestimated," he began. "They saw my skin, not my skill, my card, not my capital. And last week they laughed again. This time in a hotel lobby. And this time the world was watching." A few murmurs rippled through the room. Langston continued, steady. "But this story isn't about me. It's about the pattern, the system, the cycle." He clicked the remote in his hand. On the screen behind him appeared a chart. 15 companies. All minority-owned. All acquired. All gutted. Warren and Blake built their empire by targeting founders who looked like me. They extracted value, erased credit, and called it business. A louder murmur. Phones came out. Reporters started typing. Langston didn't flinch. "So today, we're doing something different." Another slide. A new name appeared. Project Soil. $700 million in clean capital for underrepresented founders. The room gasped. Flashes went off. Langston looked out across the audience. "This is not charity. This is correction. And we're not asking for a seat at their table anymore." He paused. "We've built our own." Across the city, Gareth Blake watched the live stream from his office, jaw tight. His board was restless. His name was trending, again, not for success, for scandal. On the table before him sat a single envelope. Inside, the evidence, leaked contracts, internal emails, footage of executives mocking black founders in private meetings. He knew what it meant. Langston hadn't just exposed them, he'd outflanked them. Meanwhile, Chloe Richardson was live on CNN. The intern turned whistleblower, her blog now a platform, her voice reaching millions. "They thought he was just a man in a suit," she said on air. "They didn't know he was the reason the markets move." And in a Southside warehouse, newly converted into a venture hub, David Jackson stood beneath a freshly painted sign. Soil, strategy, ownership, inclusion, legacy. He turned to his team. "Let's get to work." That night, back in his penthouse, Langston Rowe sat with Gloria and Ava. They didn't speak for a long time. Then Langston opened his journal one last time. He wrote, "Legacy is not what you leave behind. It's what you build while they're still trying to bury you." He closed the book. And for the first time in decades, he smiled.